All right, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome to The Color of Jazz. I have on with me this evening, I have Greg Adams. And so I'm going to bring Greg up. Let me bring him up here on Skype. There we
Hello,
go.
Donna.
How are you, Greg?
Great. How are you?
I'm well. I am
Great.
well.
Great.
It's great to have you here tonight on the show.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm thrilled to be with you.
Right on. We are glad to have you. I've been wanting to have you on the show, and so here you are. Very excited, folks, for this evening with Greg Adams as my first guest. And then second hour, we'll bring on Sean O'Brien Smith, and he'll chat with us. He is a bassist. But right now, we've got trumpeter Greg Adams. How are you, Greg?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. It's always as I was saying earlier, I'm kind of all thumbs in this tech stuff, and I'm gonna do my best. But I have Andrea, my wife, here to help me tonight because behind every man there's a better woman. So I'm gonna do my best, but I'm gonna try my hardest too.
Right on. And of course, for us women out there, Greg, we love you. Thank you.
Well, I play trumpet. It's pretty analog, and I use pencil to paper when I write an arrangement. So I'm old school. So this is a first for me. So everybody forgive me if I drop the ball, but I'm in good hands.
You are. And guess what? If you drop the ball, and no worries, because I've dropped CDs on the show, so no worries. This is
Okay.
it's the beauty of the show. It's live. It is unscripted, and everybody knows that. So we just kind of have fun and we hang out. And
Yeah.
folks in the chat with us. This is a great time, of course, to ask Greg your questions because you guys know how I get. I get all um, flustered with my multitasking. I'm in Facebook, I'm in Twitter, and guess what? Now I'm on Pinterest. Woohoo!
There you go.
So I get to multitasking, and then so I'm glad Greg is here because that way he'll see your questions in the live chat, and between him and Andrea, they're gonna answer your questions. And of course, Greg, you don't have to type; you can just talk directly to us. So
Thank you. Thank
yeah.
you. Thank you.
And we're just going to have a lot of fun. And I already see that Bernard's in the house. So B Rose, that is Bernard. And Bernard, he's a saxophone player on the
Oh,
East
great.
Coast. And so
Cool.
Greg, say hello to Bernard if you would.
Hi, Bernard. How you doing tonight? It's good to see you've joined us, and it's as I said before, this is going to be fun.
Yes, we're going to have fun. And this is like one of the best parts of my week because I get to hang out with the amazing, amazing, amazing jazz artists. So, and of course, with you, Greg, this is a huge treat for me because I am a Tower of Power fan. So we've got to talk about your Tower of Power days. And then I understand you're an amazing storyteller. So we're going to be
Well,
hearing some stories as well.
yeah, okay. I'll think of something.
Yay.
I've been doing this thing on my Facebook for about 2 years now, and I tell a short story every Sunday, unless I'm on the road and I can't get to do it. But I try to make it up like a short story on Tuesday. But uh, so I've got a people keep asking me, "Are you going to do a book? Are you going to write a book?" And I really think I have enough material to start looking at putting it together. Just little short stories, a lot of chapters, but there's some funny ones. There's some kind of thrillers, and so I'll think of something for later on.
Right on, right on. And so let's do this. Before we get started with the music and before we go any further, I want to say hello to Julie. And I was chatting with Julie earlier today in Facebook. So hello, Julie.
Hi, Julie. How you
So,
doing?
right, welcome, Julie. And Julie, if you would in the chat, tell us, Julie, tell us where you're from. So while she's testing or typing to us and telling us where she's from, um, I know we've got other folks who might not be in the chat. So here's how the show works, folks. Let me give everyone just a quick, um, I guess, lesson on how to get into the color of jazz. Here's how you get into the chat. All you're going to do is you'll see the chat on the right side of the show. And all you have to do is in the cursor or put your cursor in that little box at the bottom like you're going to chat. And the safest thing to do first of all, is to say hello. So once you do that, it's going to prompt you to make a password or to register. And all you got to do is just go ahead, do that. You'll get in the chat and you'll see, as Julie did and Bernard and other folks who are trying to get in the chat with us, that's all you have to do, folks. So and then the other thing that I always ask at the beginning of the show, if you would, and if you can multitask, because if you can't multitask, don't bother. But if you can, go to your Facebook page. Make sure you say, hey, folks, I'm hanging out with Greg Adams and Donna Whittington on The Color of Jazz. Give them the link and have them come join us as well. You know, it's a big party. We love that. Okay. So that's how easy it is, folks. And if you don't want to get in the chat with us and you just want to watch Greg and I, that's fine too. We love that. So, but we can't shout out to you if we don't know that you are there, right? Okay.
So in other words, you encourage everybody to chat.
I do. You
Yeah.
know, it's
Yeah.
the party line. You know how we
And
had the party line back in the day on the phone? You know, people would just kind of like jump on your call and
yeah, like pillow talk, Doris Day.
right. So well, now we do that online and everybody is welcome. You know, this is like a welcome thing. So let's do that. And for Julie, Julie is in. She's in San Jose. Hey, Julie, thank you for typing that for us. She's just north of San Francisco. And I'm sure Julie is so familiar um, with you, Greg, and Tower of Power and being from the San Francisco area. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. But first, what I want us to do is, Greg, I need you. Tell us about you.
Well, we only have an hour.
I know.
I was born in Billings, Montana, and I lived in San Francisco, Portland, Spokane, Washington, and LA. And I've lived here in LA for about, oh boy, uh, through to 30, 32 years, I guess. And I joined Tower of Power right out of high school. And
Wow.
I was saying earlier, I had two paths to take when I got out of high school. It was either go to Berklee School of Music, or I got this offer to join Tower of Power, and they were just recording their first record. So I got in on that. I decided to hit the road with the band and instead of go to college for 5 years and hope to get a gig like
Right.
I was being offered immediately. So I chose wisely and attended the University of Tower Power.
Right
And
on.
through that, I've worked with so many different people and recorded, I think, about 11 or 12 albums with Tower. I was there from 1970 to 1995. And when I left the band, we were on tour in Germany, and we had 2 weeks left to go. And I really needed to do something different with my life. I was not still a young man anymore. You know what I mean? And I really wanted to explore a new aspect of my musical career. So I gave my notice 2 weeks before the end of the tour in Berlin. And the next day we were in Cologne, and the record company, Epic Records, called and said, well, we heard the news. We're sorry to hear that you're leaving, but since you're a key player on the contract, we'd like to offer you a solo deal. And there's this new thing. It was kind of the end of Quiet Storm, and they said this new thing coming up is called smooth jazz, and it's instrumental, and maybe you'd like to do a record. And I said, wow. I was going to go back to LA and be a studio rat, do sessions for motion picture and television and records and stuff like that, because I did a lot of that when I was home anyway. So I got home and immediately started to put together my first record called Hidden Agenda. and we did a cover of Sade's
Yes.
Agenda, and I mean a Smooth Operator, and it went to number one for 5 weeks, and the album went to number one for 5 weeks. So Epic dropped me immediately. you
Really?
know, yeah, I think it had something to do with my management at the time. They he was pretty much old school and was like kind of a bully, and so anyway. But then I went on to do. I had started on my second record, so I went on to put it out independently. And Blue Note came along and picked it up, and I stayed with them for that record. And then they didn't renew my contract, and then I went back to Rippa Records, which is my label.
Nice.
And we've the last four records have been on Rippa Records, and so I love being my own record company
Yeah.
president because it you just there's only one set of books, with the record companies,
Okay.
two sets of books, so I did this solo thing, and then I decided to do my this latest album. The last album was called East Bay Soul,
Yes.
and we wanted to do another one in the ensemble style that East Bay Soul was, and we're going to call it East Soul 2.0. So I was reading New York Magazine one afternoon, and there was an article about this company called Kicks.com. And it's very interesting. You know, I've paid for my last albums on my own dime, and it's not cheap. So and it's not easy. And so we went to Kickstarter.com and raised enough money to do the album. And it's like a PBS or an NPR fundraiser. People pledge a certain amount at a certain level, you get a reward. And
Yes.
from $1 to $5,000. And it was totally fan funded, so it was very cool. And so
Nice.
we have three executive producers who pledged $5,000 apiece, and they get billing as executive producers. And if you look at the liner notes, if you have the CD at home, you see that one of the producers is Paul Schaefer, my good friend on the David Letterman show.
Right.
So he's listed as an executive producer, and it's been a great experience to do that. You really find out who your friends are, and, who really and so we call our fans true funk soldiers, and it's like it's an army, and they're dedicated, and Julie's a member, and we have many members all over the world. We had people pledge from Italy, Germany, England, Japan, South America, all over the world, and so it's pretty cool. Only thing, it's kind of tough to get a 10-piece band around the world.
Yes.
The one drawback, it's kind of expensive, but it's a great band, and so that's pretty much where we're at this point. And we're going to play in Boston at Scullers on New Year's Eve for 2 nights, 31, and it was like a mission for us to get in there, because it's the place in the Northeast to get in. So we were going to go once, we had to cancel. Second time we went and lost money, but we got in there, and man, we showed them, and we got this offer for New Year's Eve. It's a great band. It's a 10-piece band. It's an ensemble project. I feature everybody in the band.
Yes.
That's not so. And we got this stage at Scullers is like a postage stamp, and we literally were shoulder to shoulder on stage. And, the way we kind of got there was from our friend Jack back in Boston. He really worked it. I'm telling you, Jack Silva is one of the best fans you could ever have in the world. So thank you, Jack.
Wow.
Anyway, so aside from the curtain here. Anyway, that's it. It's a great band, and that's kind of like from when this whole thing started with Tower of Power to now.
Wow. Okay. So
You can think
you've
of anything that
okay. I lost you right there. What'd you just say, Greg?
if there's anything more you want to know, just ask me because I'm a trove of information, but sometimes I can leave stuff out. So
No worries. You did fine. And
okay.
you've had just a phenomenal career. Of course, starting with Tower of Power, and then, of course, as you said, moving on to your own solo career, which has been phenomenal for you as well. And then now bringing the another ensemble back together, or together, I should say, um, with East Bay Soul. And the members of that group that you have put together are absolutely phenomenal. And I'm looking at the CD right here, folks. So here's the CD. Okay. So you gotta get this CD. And Greg, tell me, what's the best way for folks to get the CD? East Bay Soul
Well,
2.0.
we sell it at Amazon
Mm-hmm.
and CD Baby, and also at gigs. And if we're at gigs, I'm back at the table signing for 20, 30 minutes after the show. So that's the way to get an autograph. See?
Right. And
And
and does everyone get to sign as well?
yeah, if any of the guys come out to the table, they're there with pen in hand. Um, we we try to get Daryl out there. Daryl's our singer because the gals love Daryl, and he's such a great singer. And he, it's ironic we didn't know until this album that Daryl also plays tenor saxophone. So he
Ah,
plays. Yeah, so it's kind of ironic that when he isn't singing and we're doing an instrumental, we have a five-piece horn section, which and the instrumentation is the same as a tower of power horn section.
yes.
Two trumpets, two tenors, and a baritone. So it's
Nice.
so and he's a great player, he's a great soloist. So he's a big addition to the band. But
And we'll hear from him. We're going to hear, of course, one of the tracks with his vocals on there. But now I'm going to break in because I've got folks asking questions, and let's give a huge shout out real quick. Funkmeister is in the house, and Funkmeister says he just did an interview with you. Um, I guess not too long ago. So Funkmeister, if you want, you could put that link into the chat, and folks could hear that as well. And Dan he says, like Julie, I'm also from the Bay Area. So hello, Dan, and anyone else who's been joining the show and haven't seen you, because the chat just kind of scrolls up. So of course, I apologize if we missed you, but if you chat with us, we will see you pop up. But before we put some music on, I want to give just a shout out to the folks, your band members, because they are
yeah,
just absolutely um, important to what you are doing with East Bay Soul. And before I do that, I want to bring up one of the pictures, and so let me do that so everyone could see the band. Let me bring them up. I'm gonna put the camera on me here real quick, and then I'm gonna go. Let's go and bring up this picture. I really like this picture, and I gotta ask you, Greg, while I'm bringing this up, did Betty do this picture of the band?
yeah. I'm not looking at it. There's one. Everybody's one. Joey's pointing at me.
Yes.
Well, Betty did all the photography on the record, and she's been doing it for quite a while. She's a great
Yes,
artist,
she is.
painter and photographer, and just we depend on her for her input and everything she does. She's great.
She is absolutely, and I love Betty's work. I've been trying to get Betty to come on to the show as well. One day I'll get her on here, but Betty does, for those of you who do not know, Betty Grace Minor. And Betty does a ton of musicians, their artwork, their CD covers, their photos. And here's a great photo, and with Greg, of course, standing at the stage door. I love that photo. But so I want to name the guys in the band, and if I forget anybody, you gotta you gotta correct me. So in the band, and I'm gonna bring you back up. You're right
Okay.
there in the corner.
Yeah, I see me.
There you go. Okay, so in the band, of course, we've got Greg Adams on trumpet, Sean Billings, trumpet, Lee Thornburg, trombone, Michael Paulo, tenor sax, Johnny how do you, Bamont,
Beaumont.
say it again?
Beaumont.
Beaumont. Thank you.
Uh,
So Johnny Beaumont, tenor and Barry sax, Joey Navarro, keys, James
Weirich.
Rierick,
Yeah.
James Rierick on guitar, Dwayne Smitty Smith, bass, Herman Matthews, drums, Johnny Sandoval, percussions. Have I got everyone?
Yeah, you got everybody.
Right on. Right on. And so there's
And
the group,
Sean,
guys.
Sean Billings, he played lead trumpet on this, and uh, it, for everybody out there who knows that my last version of being in Tower of Power, Lee Thornburg and I were the brass section and the horn section. He played trumpet and trombone. So Lee joined us on trombone on this record this time, just because I needed him, and he's such a dear friend, and we go way back, and it ain't a party without Lee. So
Right?
anyways, they got everybody, and Johnny Beaumont and I went to high school together, and if you count back, if I tell you that I graduated in 1970, that means he and I have been playing together in some shape or form for all those years, because he would fill in for Doc on baritone sax once in a while in Tower of Power. So at that point, he'd been in Tower of Power. Now he's playing when he's not playing with me, he's playing with Huey Lewis and the News.
Ah.
And the funny thing is that Tower Horns played with Huey Lewis and the News for several years and did the world tours and everything like that when they were big. It's funny, Johnny's now playing all my arrangements with Huey Lewis and the News. So
nice.
It's serendipitous, but uh, yeah, the guys are just the best. I mean, I truly, some of them I've been with for quite a while. And when I expanded the band size, I brought in Michael Paulo and another Sean, the trumpet player, and Lee was playing with us at trumpet before Sean. And then I found Daryl Walker, our vocalist, and he's like, I mean, I've done a lot of recording sessions with a lot of different people in my career, and he truly, well, I don't really get to know the people I've worked with, because I'm a session player and I go in and I meet the producer. Sometimes the artist is not there, sometimes they are. But Daryl is a dream come true as a vocalist. I mean, he just like that. He gets it every time, and he nails it on the head. So I mean, I'll tell you what. We're going to be playing at Spaghettini's in Seal Beach, California.
Yes.
On August 3rd and 4th. That's Friday and Saturday night. And you should come and check out the band. This is kind of like a little home club for us. It's our little laboratory, if you will, that we've kind of worked on the act. And it's a small stage, but it's very intimate. And it sells out real quick. I mean, it might be sold out by now, but it's free. That's the beauty of it. There's no cover charge.
Is that right?
Yeah, you can come and you can have dinner, but if there's no room to get a seat, you come in and hang at the bar. So
there you go.
It's a great. We've been playing there for ages. So and I wanted to mention that besides CD Baby and Amazon.com, you can get the CD on eastbaysoul.com and GregAdamsMusic.com. So
right on.
There's several ways to get it.
So let's do this. There's lots of folks. People are chatting, so I want you to check out the chat and perhaps get in the chat with them. I'm going to put some music on, and before I do that, Geo Keys from Phoenix just popped into the chat. So hello, Geo, and Julia, of course, is in the chat and she's chatting with folks. So get in the chat, folks. If you haven't done so already, do that. I'm going to be going to Facebook because I want to do some posting here. Um, but I like this CD and the love of my life. That is one of my favorite songs on there. So we'll hear that one. But at first, I gotta play the Getaway because I like that one a lot too. And let's get that going. Hey, Leslie. Leslie is in. Leslie's from the East Coast, the Soup Lady, aka the Soup Lady, and we'll talk about that at a different time. But the Soup Lady is in the house, folks. So for those of you guys in the chat, you can chat directly with her. She'll tell you about that. I'm gonna put on the Getaway. Greg is going to get into the chat, or Andrea, and let me say this before I put the music on. I have to give a huge shout out to Andrea. And Andrea, of course, has been phenomenal in making all of this happen. And whatever I needed, Andrea was just all over it and got everything for me very quickly, very prompt. And so, Andrea, got to say thank you, thank you, thank you, and for all your help and putting this together and your response. So thank you. And let's put on the Getaway because I know you guys are like, come on, play some music. So let's get this going, folks. I'm going to Facebook and Twitter, and you guys can follow Greg on Twitter. If you guys do the tweeting thing, he is Brassalicious. Is that right, Greg? Did I say that right?
Yeah, it's one of the titles on the CD, Brassalicious.
Brassalicious, folks. So you got to get that. I'll put that in the chat, or maybe if Andrea or you can put that in the chat, that'd be awesome, folks. Of course, Greg's personal page is full, so you have to go to the East Bay Soul page. And Andrea, poke your head in and say hi to us.
Hi.
So there's Andrea, folks. And like I said, very instrumental in making all of this happen. All right, folks, here we go. Let's do this. And this is the Getaway from East Bay Soul 2.0. One of my favorites. Enjoy this.
Still on? Are you on there? I guess we go down. in four. Yeah.
Okay. Very nice. Greg, tell us about the getaway.
Well, it was kind of when you think of a title, sometimes you start with a title and then or sometimes you write the song and you have to think of a title, especially with an instrumental. There's no lyric to really guide you towards a title. And I thought maybe there was an urgency and a kind of I don't know, I guess the word is urgency about the performance and with the way this song sounds. And I thought about the movie with Steve McQueen and Alan McGraw, The Getaway. And that's kind of a cool title. And so it stuck. I mean, everybody liked it. So that's it. That was the one. That's how that got that title,
Wow. And then, of course, speaking of the getaway, the movie, you've scored some movies as well. Tell us about some of the music that you've done for some soundtracks.
Well, I have never been uh, credited as a composer until recently. I did a short film last summer for a young filmmaker, but I'm an arranger. I'll arrange tracks for incidental music in a movie, and I've done The Mask, duets with Huey Lewis and Gwyneth Paltrow, and that was a lot of work because it was all cover tunes. So I did about 9 arrangements in that record. I did a real turkey of a movie called Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Club Band, which was the Bee Gees and Peter Frampton, and the great thing about it that was it's the Sir George Martin was the producer of the soundtrack. So instead of him doing the writing and hiring the horn section, he said, no, Greg, I want you to do the writing because I'm looking for your sound and you write the sound. So I was a true compliment coming from Sir George. And it was just such a pleasure to work with him. We worked together again on an album for America a few years later, a couple times. But, I've done I did this one called Little Big League. It was with, it was about this kid who inherits a baseball team. That was with Stanley Clarke. He was the composer. And I've done several films with Stanley. I've done TV shows. I did Hang 'em, Mr. Cooper.
Yes.
It's the list is long, and as usual, I forget. Help me out, Andrea.
What are you talking about?
Films.
Um,
See, we blank out. I need my
Little Big League.
Little Big League. Yeah, we said that
The
one.
Mask.
The Mask. We said that one.
Okay.
And of course,
But,
duets. Yes. Yeah.
Get your
Duets.
bio.
This film I just did last summer. It was called Long Black Lashes. It was about a 30-minute short, and I did the whole soundtrack. He had some temp music and the solo violin that kind of followed the female lead around, but he didn't like it. So I suggested, why don't you have me do like solo trumpet with like a big lush orchestra underneath it, and it came out really good. I don't think the director's name is Brandon Lasner, and he entered it into a few film festivals, and it did well. And he's quite the director. It was a great, very Hitchcock, a thriller. And it was a good little movie. So he's an up and coming name for a director. And now I can safely say that I'm his composer.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah. But so many things have come from one door opens another door, opens
Absolutely.
another door. And being an arranger, I think my success is the fact that I can become a chameleon and I can change my colors to fit what that artist is looking for. And right after I left Tower of Power, I did a with the Tower Horns, but I was just the arranger on it. I think I played on the date too, but it was just this band called Fish.
Yes.
And I had heard of them, but they were kind of another genre altogether than I. They're more closely in tune with the Grateful Dead, who I've played with them too. But they have a cult following, I was to find out. And years later, Trey Anastasi called me and asked me if I would arrange for his solo band. So I've been writing for him for the last few years, and when he travels on his solo tour, he has a 3-piece horn section. So I've been writing for that, and which is great. And Trey and I are great friends, and you talk about, and that guy has got a vocabulary of musicianship. That guy never repeats himself when he plays a solo. He's one of the best guitar players I've ever worked with. Oh, okay. Here, Andrea just handed me this just in,
folks.
Austin Powers.
Yes.
Saving Silverman, Top Gun. I did the opening arrangement for the theme on the David Letterman show years ago, and I'm here to say there's a good chance I'm going to be on the late night next month for a week playing trumpet in the band. So
yay! Well, we'll have to definitely look out for that. Well, we've got some questions, and Funkmeister wants to know. He says you also did some arranging for American Idol.
No, not me.
No,
that's not American Idol. I haven't done that show. I've done a lot of stuff for Letterman. As a matter of fact, Paul Schaefer and I were up for an Emmy for an anniversary show in 1981. No Idol stuff for me. I'd love to do that, but I haven't done it.
So maybe Funkmeister has an end to American Idol. So Funkmaster, could you hook that up for him? That'd be nice.
I know what it is. I did Taylor Hicks' debut album after he won the year he won the final. So yeah, I did work. I haven't done the TV show, but I did Taylor Hicks' record. I did I think I did 9 out of 12 songs or something like that. So yeah, he's a great guy. Really, really nice guy.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So Bernard wants to know, do you ever perform with Richard Elliott?
The last time I played with Richard was at the Tower of Power 40th anniversary.
There you go.
Reunion, which was a big DVD set, and you can get it. It's a huge little production. And I did a cruise with him a few years back. But otherwise, Rich is a great friend, and a great player, and he's done very well.
So I have to ask, with Tower Power, did you play with a guy by the name of Don Harris? Was he later in Tower of Power?
He was later. I think he was on. He was in the section when we did Mask. Is he from Australia?
I don't think so. I think Don is from here. I got a chance to meet him on the Warren Hill Jazz Cruise. He was doing the horn section. He was part of the horn section, I should say. I don't think I ever. No. Okay.
I know that he was in the band, but that had to have been after I left, because I never played with him.
Okay. And then, of course, Julia in the house. Julia says, looks like you've got some folks from up north. And she says you have a huge fan base in Northern California, which includes Sue and all of your other high school chums. Yeah,
it's funny. I know I'm dating myself. Well, I'll just say it. I'm 60 years old. But we had our 40th high school reunion in 2010, and I wasn't able to make it. Of course, I was on the road. So the first time we played Yoshi's in San Francisco, that really was like my high school reunion for me. So many of my high school classmates came out to see the band, it literally was like a mind blower.
Nice.
You know, I mean, when you haven't seen people for 40 years, it's just wow. You know, I mean, so now every time we kind of crossed the bay, and we're more regularly at Yoshi's in Oakland,
Yeah.
and my pals all come out. It's just such a thrill to see them, and it's a thrill to see us all kind of, I hate to say it, grow old, and everybody's just so nice to me, and I then they used to come and see Tower Power play, and so it was great when I did this gig and got into Yoshi's. It was so great to see everybody. We're going to be at Yoshi's in San Francisco in December.
Yeah.
We have a little thing called Sweet Soul Christmas.
Ooh.
We do a show of my original music plus about 7 or 8 Christmas, chestnuts.
Yes.
I mean, just like Donny Hathaway's This Christmas, and some contemporary stuff, some very traditional stuff. Charlie Brown Christmas. It's really good. We've been working on it for a few years, and we do it at Spaghettini. But this time it's like we're going to take it on the road. We're trying to get it booked in other places. Time is running out, but I think people will. It's a little bit of an alternative to the big productions by some of the other smooth jazz artists. This is a little more funky.
Yes. Okay. And speaking of funk, can I put in my my request, Greg? Could I put in a request for maybe your next CD?
Yeah.
Okay. Here's my request for East Bay Soul, because I think you guys would be perfect to do this. So I would love to see Ohio Players. And if you guys could do the music from the Ohio Players, and okay, remember Fire and Sweet Sticky Thing. So you know what? I think that would be the horn section on Sweet Sticky Thing would just be phenomenal. Can I put that in as an order?
Yeah, you can make a request.
But can I have that as well?
I'm still working on this one here. The process hasn't even begun yet.
Okay.
As to what I'm going to for the next.
I can wait.
I will put. I'm going to write it down right now, and I'll put it on the bulletin board, and we'll see what we can do.
There you go. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, everybody, get your orders in, okay? And of course, we've got some new folks in the house. Jimmy is in the house. And Greg, what kind of process do you go through when you are doing a horn arrangement for an artist? Is it methodical, or is it whatever comes to mind?
Jimmy, what happens is, it is a process, and usually they now with I don't work with tape anymore. They MP3 me the track. We burn a disc, and then I put it in the CD player, and with the remote, just like a tape deck, you can search and go to a spot when I'm working on a certain spot. But usually I just sit down, listen to the track, have a pencil and paper out, a manuscript paper, and just think of ideas, and think. To me, usually my first ideas are my best. So I try to put it into a theme, a recurring theme. So there's an identity. You don't do too much. You find what is the strongest suit of maybe an accompanying melody or a background part, and you incorporate it throughout the track. You don't throw the kitchen sink in there, and I think that, music is kind of like a language, and
yes.
The best to speak the language, it's kind of like when somebody says something in so few words and it's so profound, that's what people like. So I try to make it simple and keep it, just to the feature. I'm merely I'm painting a backdrop. So, and that's my job. I'm not in the front. So everyone's different. It's like a snowflake, but usually, and I'm very flattered that people come to me for my sound. It's gratifying to hear that people, that's what they want. So I kind of become a chameleon and get into that whole thing of being who I put on a different suit for every artist, like from Santana to Fish to
Yes.
Trick, to the Grateful Dead, to Celine Dion, whoever. So
Nice.
it's a process, and I've got a process. But it's like starting over every time, and it's a thrill. It really, to me, it still gets my heart pumping because it's a challenge. So
Absolutely. Well, let's do this. Let's get To Catch a Thief. I like that one as well. Let's put that one on. Folks, get in the chat with Greg Adams. He's in the house. He's chatting with you. And I'm going to go over to Facebook. So make sure you guys do the same thing if you can. If you can multitask. If not, stay here. Hang out with Greg in the chat. If you can't do the multitasking thing, I can do that. But I'm going to head on over there. And in the meantime, we're all going to we're going to listen To Catch a Thief. Enjoy this, folks. Let Greg know what you think. All right. To Catch a Thief. I like that, Greg. Very nice.
Thanks.
That's an awesome tune. I like how mellow it is, and it's just smooth. And of course, the trumpet is just kicking on that. Love that.
Yeah, that's also a cinematic referral to the Alfred Hitchcock movie To Catch a Thief with
Yes.
and Grace Kelly. I didn't mean for these titles to get so movie oriented, but they just seem to fit. It's kind of like uh, I'm the cat on the flugelhorn, and the string section in the B sections is Grace Kelly. So, I kind of it kind of worked. So if you close your eyes, I'm on the rooftops.
Nice. And of course, folks in the chat are also chatting about that. Leslie says, Greg, all the great people you mentioned working with is quite a portfolio. Sounds like we hear you work more than we know. That's true. That is
Well,
true.
it's kind of like what I said before. I'm in the background, and I've been on over 500 records in my career, and some things that I just better left forgotten, and some are not so are very memorable. One of the greatest moments was to stand on the stage at Candlestick Park in San Francisco and play in the horn section with the Rolling Stones in 1980, I guess 81, something like that. That was really something. But we've known the Stones for several years, and we met first in 1974 in Rotterdam in the Netherlands, and we had just done Elton John's Caribou record, so we were on the road with this Warner Brothers music tour. It was 6 bands, the top bands on Warner Brothers records, and I think they were just kind of trying to lose. It was a tax deduction for Warner Brothers, but they chartered a 707, took all of these 6 bands on one. We had our own plane. We flew to London, and we were in Europe for like a month.
Wow.
And we had our own cars that and there was no expense. It's like we met Nick and Keith at backstage at the show in Rotterdam, and Elton John was there, and I've even got a wall over here a newspaper thing, and it's a picture of me having a beer with Mick Jagger, and it was the first time I'd ever drank a Heineken out of a can. It was always a bottle, and it's one picture of me. I had hair, you know what I mean? And boy, yeah, I don't think so. Well, I'll tell you this little story,
Tell us the story.
Okay, well, I think I got a better one than that. We were in Seattle playing at the Paramount Theater years ago when Back to Oakland was out, which I guess was about 76, 75. And that was the one that the cover art had a big freeway sign as if it was a billboard, and it actually was a billboard. The Warner Brothers put up to the approach to the Bay Bridge on the San Francisco side, a huge billboard that looked like an interstate sign, and it said "Back to Oakland, Tower of Power." And instead of the interstate sign, it had the Warner Brothers logo. So anyway, we had this huge canvas painted with the album cover, right? And this was low tech. I mean, we didn't have, there was no gizmos in those days. It was weighted by a lead pipe, and it was rolled up. At the signal from the lighting director, the guy on stage pulled the cord, and the thing went and fall down, and there it was Back to Oakland, right in front of everybody.
Nice.
Well, the thing was to go. We'd take the rhythm section on stage first. They'd plug in, get all, make sure all the amps work, the drums are out, and then the horns would come on. Well, I stood on the end, so I was the last guy out. The guys walked on. I said, the last guy out, and the lighting director and the guy with the cord, there was a miscue, and the sign came down early, and it hit me right in the forehead.
Oh no.
A lead pipe.
Oh no.
And at the time I had a brand new, like a cream colored three-piece suit on. I was styled. It was the first time I'd worn it. And I got hit on the head, and I just went over, and I had my flugelhorn in both hands.
Oh my God.
And I kind of turned around and walked off stage. And I leaned up and said, "I've been hit." And they helped me. The band didn't see this, like the shark that comes up and gets the last fish in the school, and the rest of the fish don't even know that fish is missing. Nobody, the band didn't see what happened. And I'm backstage in a chair with my head back, and about 12 roadies with flashlights and trying to put a compression on it. And as I said, I had hair in those days, and somebody was trying to take my hair and tie it together to kind of close, because I had a nice doozy of a contusion there, and it was bleeding pretty good. And the reason I bent over is I didn't get blood on my suit.
Right.
Priorities. So I went to the hospital. They put a bandage on it, and said I have a concussion and that I shouldn't, go to sleep that night. So I got back to the show right as they were starting What Is Hip.
Oh.
And I walked on stage to the cheers of the entire, it was a Paramount Theater, so it was a few thousand people. And, I was in shock, and I had this concussion, but I had my horns, and I put them on my stands, and I got out there in time to play the first trumpet solo in What Is Hip.
Wow.
And I finished the show, and it was quite a night. So we were staying at the Edgewater Hotel, which is the one that's right on the water down on the Sound. It's where the Beatles stayed. I remember we were headlining the Paramount, and it was really a big deal to stay at the Edgewater because the Beatles had stayed there, years ago in the 60s. So this hotel, if you had a waterside room, they'd give you a fishing pole, and you could fish out of your deck window. It was crazy, but anyway, so the little production assistant, this cute little blonde, she's the girl who took me to the hospital and got me back in time. So as they said, I wasn't allowed to sleep that night. So she came back to the hotel and made sure I didn't go to sleep. So that's my story.
That's your story, and you're sticking to it? That's an awesome story. Awesome. That is funny. That is funny. And yes, time is almost up. And but I have to say this because you've got someone in the live chat, and he's saying, if you ever get to Spokane, I know your band teacher would love to see you. Dad is getting on in age, but you have always been his prize student.
Wow. Now my band teacher, Kutro.
Kutro's 16.
Yeah, Kutro. Who's your dad?
Who's your daddy?
Yeah, I know that.
And I mean that in a very loving way.
Yes, absolutely. Because, my high school band teacher has passed on. So I think, he would have to be probably 100 years old by now.
Right.
And I had he was a great band teacher in high school. he really nurtured me and really let me explore my arranging. I was in the forest, it was the new frontier for me. And we had a great jazz band. So I wrote and arranged for my jazz band since my sophomore year. And Johnny Beaumont was in the band with me. And my freshman year, he graduated right as I went into at the end of the year. But I really learned a lot, and it was my laboratory. So when I joined Tower of Power, I was ready to go. I was ready to arrange for horns and everything like that. So, like I said, I didn't go to school, but it was like I got my education on the road and in the studio. So do we know Kutro?
Kutros, we don't know who his dad is, but I'm hoping Kutros will go to your Facebook page. If he's not in your personal page, Kutro 16, I'm hoping that you'll at least go to East Bay So. That's the official fan page for Greg and of course the group. make sure, folks, that you're going there and like the page, okay? Go there, like the page, and then when you're done with Greg's page, go over to The Color of Jazz and like The Color of Jazz in Facebook as well. Do that for the both of us. We really appreciate that. And Kutro says he will do that. He or she, I guess, will do that. And we hope to see all of you guys on both of our pages. And while Greg is signing off, Greg, last parting words for us, for your fans. And before you do that, Greg, I have to put you on the spot and ask you, would you come back on The Color of Jazz?
Anytime you want me.
Woohoo! All right. You know what? That's going to be, I'm going to definitely do that. And I can see we need a 2-hour show. Are you good with doing a 2-hour show?
Absolutely. It'd be my pleasure.
Donna. Yay! Woohoo!
I want to thank everybody who's chatted and who's listened to the show, and thank you so much for all your support over the years. I recognize many of these people, and I consider them dear friends. That's the thing about this Kickstarter. I really, not only were they helped me realize my project and dream, but they became close friends. I mean, people I'd never met. They say they've been fans for years, but I never met them. So I met a lot of new friends, and thank you so much. We'll see you next in your town. Okay.
Yay! That's right, folks. So, of course, make sure you go to East Bay Soul in Facebook, but also go to Greg's website. You can go to gregadams.com, and you can also go to eastbaysoul.com. And he's got his schedule on there. He's got his bio. He's got pictures. He's got everything. So make sure you do that. Most of all, I want you. Say it again, Greg. You blinked out. One more time.
GregAdamsMusic.com.
Thank you. GregAdamsMusic.com. But folks, I need you to go and get this CD, East Bay Soul 2.0. Make sure you do that. And if you can get it from Greg, I'd rather you get it from Greg than anyone. That way you can get it signed. Okay, so make sure you show some love when he hits your town. Boston and Yoshi's and wherever else you're playing, go to his website so you will find out wherever he's playing next. Make sure this is how you support him and the band. They are absolutely phenomenal. So I need you to do that. And then, of course, folks, stop by The Color of Jazz. All right. So we're going to sign off with Greg. And Andrea, thank you, thank you, thank you. We see her there in the corner. Andrea, pop in here real quick. There she is, the lovely Andrea, folks. I put that picture of you and Greg up. I love that picture. It's your holiday picture that Betty did for you two, and it's absolutely beautiful. So, Andrea, again, thank you for all that you've done and getting Greg on The Color of Jazz. And Greg said he's coming back on the show, so I will be connecting with you again, Andrea. Okay?
Great.
Okay, sounds great.
Right.
See you, Donna.
Awesome. Everyone, say goodnight to Greg and Andrea. I'm going to put on the last song here, which I said we would get to, and we didn't. The Love of My Life. I got to play that. As that is playing, everyone in the chat, say goodbye, good night. I am going to be bringing up Sean O'Brien Smith. He's up next. Folks, stay with us, and we're going to hear from Sean O'Brien Smith. Enjoy this, and say goodnight.
I still can remember just how it began. A friend introduced us, and I took her hand. Yeah. Then something went through us, and she felt it too. Someone said something, but no words came through, no. And the love of my life is the odds were against us, our two separate hearts. We burned in the evenings, and then we would part. Her voice would come to me, and soon I would know he was the one that I couldn't let go. Couldn't let go. Oh no, no. His dark but is bright. She glows with the light like a candle's flame. And the love of my life is cold but she's warm. And imperfect storm or a summer rain. The love of my life is dark but is bright. She glows with the light like a candle's flame.
All right, folks. Of course, that was The Love of My Life and East Bay Soul 2.0 is the CD. Great, great, great CD. Got to get that. And again, go to the Facebook page and like his East Bay Soul page if you're not on his personal page. So, of course, awesome show with Greg. And now, hey, folks, look who I have with me now. I've got Sean. There he is doing peekaboo. Sean O'Brien Smith. And Sean, welcome to The Color of Jazz. Hi, woo! How are ya?
Hello. I'm doing good. How about yourself?
You know what? We're doing well. We're just having some fun with, of course, Greg Adams and his beautiful wife, Andrea, and wrapping that up. And glad to see you here. And very, very,
Well, thank
very
you.
excited to talk about what you have going on. Tell us.
There's
Tell us.
just a little bit.
Just a little bit. You're not in the least bit busy as you're in your hotel
No,
room, right? Coming back from a gig.
exactly. Exactly. We rolled in. We played Roanoke last night.
Awesome. Awesome. So let me ask, since we just switched to you, how are you hearing us? Are you hearing me okay?
I'm hearing you fine, actually.
Fabulous. Okay. And you are on your iPad, correct?
Correct.
Gotta love that technology. And as you said, you just had a gig in Roanoke. And how was your gig last night?
It was good. It was a neat room. I'm out touring with another contemporary jazz artist, guy named Joe Taylor, that had a bunch of hits back in the late 90s and early 2000s.
Right?
And it's me, him, and Steve Holly from McCartney and Wings and Joe Cocker's band.
Right on.
And we're just going out as a power trio, and just having a good time. And it's neat because we're peppering those in with some of my own tour dates. And we actually kind of flip-flop. One night it might be me on the marquee. The next night it'll be Joe. It's been kind of fun. So we've learned each other's shows, and we go out and just have a blast. So we did that in Roanoke, and we were in Durham, North Carolina the night before.
Okay. So you guys are hitting the East Coast.
Pretty much. Right now, everything's starting southeast, and then I start touring with my own group this week, and then I get back with those guys in early fall, and we head up north.
Right on. So before we talk about your group, let's talk about you. Give us some
Okay.
background information on you, Sean, and how you came
Oh dear.
to the bass.
Gotcha. Well, started playing when I was 12. As far as bass, what really got me was listening to old Motown and Stax records, primarily Stax for me. Um, I heard Donald Duck Dunn on like old Otis Redding and Booker T and the MG's records, and I'm like, okay, I have to go do that. But what really started my musical love is my mom was a professional jazz singer and sang with a lot of the big band greats. She was with Jack Teagarden for years,
Wow.
worked with Woody Herman, worked with Pete Fountain. So she said it was funny. I would literally crawl in and while she's practicing piano and I would rest my head on her pedal foot. And, I'm sitting here, she's bopping along, sitting there beating time. I'm here and she's like, okay, there's where his groove's coming from.
Ah.
But what made it even worse is she said when she was pregnant with me, her rhythm section would go off on their show and I'd be in there just flailing and kicking and doing all this, that, and the other. And she's like, oh, crap, he's either a bass player or a drummer. So needless to say, it worked.
Nice. Thanks, Mom.
Absolutely. So that's what kind of started me down the path. And then it's been a neat journey for me all along the way.
It sounds like it. Phenomenal. Awesome. So now, bringing you fast forward, tell
Okay.
us about your band.
The band currently I'm touring with, I'm based out of Nashville. And what's kind of interesting with us is we're actually all a bunch of former country sidemen.
Is that right?
Before I decided, yeah, I did a long time backing up a lot of the country major artists. And it was everybody. I was with Billy Ray Cyrus for years. I've recorded with Keith Urban, Lady Antebellum, Rascal Flatts, everybody, Kenny Rogers, all through there. And everybody in my band's kind of the same way. But there's, country pays the bills in Nashville, but jazz is what really drives us.
Right.
So my whole band is a bunch of those guys as far as my touring band. And, I've got a phenomenal drummer that's been with me for 10 years, a guy named Glenn Williams. And, he's played with, Billy Ray and a bunch of the contemporary Christian artists. My guitar player was with Kirk Whalum. It's like, so, we've all got that background. And then what's been neat for me has been the major jazz artists I get incorporated with my records. You know, everybody from, on my first album, I had Skunk Baxter from Steely Dan was on there. And then Jerry Marotta from Peter Gabriel's band played drums on some of the tracks. So it's been fun. And then we're really doing a lot with the album that's actually coming out this week.
Nice. That is fantastic. And yes, your album drops on Tuesday, doesn't it?
It does. This one's been a chore. I'm ready to get it out.
Yes. Before we talk about your new one that's getting ready to drop, we've got to talk about Tapestry.
Oh, cool.
Tell us about Tapestry. And I have it right here. And I really like this CD. I like the bass. It's deep because I'm all about the bass. Bass is one of my favorite instruments, the upright especially. And for
Perfect.
me,
I do
I think
both.
the
Nice.
bass is the sexiest instrument ever.
I knew I was going to get along with you.
Okay?
No, Tapestry was a lot of fun. It's funny, even though I make my career as a bass player, I've always kind of considered myself as a composer and producer first. And I'd had a lot of those songs with me for a number of years. And through the course of leaving touring with a lot of the big country acts and mainly just concentrating on my recording career, I decided I was going to release the album. And this was probably, I started tracking 2005, 2006 on Tapestry. And the concept of the record and where the name kind of really came about is I wanted to take all my favorite sidemen I'd worked with in other incarnations over the years. And so, me and Skunk had played together on other gigs, same with Jerry Marotta, and it got to be this neat mix of let's take some highline session players and touring artists that work with major stars and mix them with guys that, the jazz world's never heard, because there's a lot of great talent sitting around Nashville that nobody's ever going to hear. So I did that with that first record, and, I figured I would like sell it at my clinics, sell it to some fans, and, just see what happens. And surprisingly, we've actually done really well, especially overseas.
Yes.
We've sold plenty of units, and it continues to sell. We actually re-released it at the first part of this year with a bonus track when I signed a new distribution deal out of Australia.
Yes.
And the album's been doing great. It continues to have its own legs. It's been really neat to see, as more countries, especially overseas, discover the album. Like all of a sudden, continues to have this resurgence, even though we released it, 4 years ago.
Wow. So I got to ask you. I was kind of having this conversation with my father earlier today. What do you think is the is there a link between Europe and the music, and do you get a huge response over there versus
I do, and
here?
it's weird how, yes, and what's, and I don't know where the disconnects necessarily come within the States, but it continues to fascinate me with overseas. I do a lot of remote recording sessions for artists overseas, either in Europe. I work with, pianists in Russia, all this stuff that keeps going. And it amazes me how the Europeans in particular have held on to the real ideals that kind of founded jazz.
Yes.
I mean, especially I did a record that we released earlier in the year. It was called Kazargan World was the project, and the album was called Wonderful Times. And what was neat of the thing is it was like an old 60s Herbie Hancock, free jazz album if it had been left to evolve to today's standards. It got to be this really neat hybrid thing that it was just like, oh, wow, this is cool. And it was partially because the entire artists that were on the record, the pianist was in Russia, the trumpet player was in Germany, the drummer was in India, and we all farmed in these tracks, but it had that spirit. And, it's kind of disheartening that I've been having to focus some of my work overseas because, you can do that and it's this great album and this great experience. And then, you may go out and perform in different places of the States and they just don't quite get it. And
Yes.
I've yet to figure out what the difference is.
Yes. I'd like to know that as well. So when you figure it out, please give me a holler. And
Yeah, no kidding. We'll definitely stay in touch on that one.
yeah, I'm truly baffled. And so United States, let's have that dialogue. Let's talk about that. I really want to know what, I hear a lot of artists who go overseas and are just very well received, and especially in jazz, because, we know how we're received here in United States. And for me personally, I want to do all that I can to get the jazz out and especially get the independent artist out as well. And which is how the Color of Jazz kind of came to be. And it's just my love. So here I am trying to do this. But yeah, overseas, tons of love. And so I'm hoping we can get that love here because, jazz, it started here. Its roots are here in the United
Well, that's
States.
what's so funny with it, because it is arguably the only true American art form. And then you've got Americans shunning it at times, and I'm like, what?
Right.
I'm like, this makes zero sense.
Right. So we've got to figure that out, Americans. I'm just saying. And then, of course, I don't know if you saw the chat where Leslie said that you were born to play.
Oh, well, cool.
Did you see that in the chat?
I have not
You
yet.
were literally born to play. You came out playing. Probably couldn't wait
love
to get
it.
the instrument in your hand.
I love it.
Born to play.
And
Hey,
my
you
wife
know what?
sometimes will say she wishes I'd probably be born to shut up at times. But
You know what, John? That's got to be a song somewhere. Born to Play, where it's
Oh.
just funky and you're thumping. So
oh,
just putting it out there,
absolutely.
okay?
Oh,
Planting
I'll go there.
seeds. Planting seeds. So let's do this because The phenomenal CD is Tapestry. Okay, folks,
Excellent.
it's powerful. It's a very powerful CD, and I think you guys are going to like this as much as I do. Um, how can we get it, Sean? Tell us.
Easiest way right now. It's a lot of the usual suspects. I'm on iTunes. We finally got my website up and running, so it's SeanO'BrienSmith.com. Or you can go to CD Baby and order it through there. We've also got most of the digital outlets, actually worldwide.
Yes.
Everything from Amazon to, Nokia, even some of the smaller digital outlets. Once you get in other countries, or you're getting some of the more obscure, like the Slavic countries and stuff like that. There's plenty of outlets over there. So, you can definitely find Tapestry. If you can't find it at a major outlet, just Google it and it comes up everywhere.
All right. So there you go, folks. And we'll have to put that in the chat for people as well. And that way we have it both in the chat and the archives, because just so folks know, the show is archived and you'll be able to see the recorded show, the archive show right after, probably about a half an hour after the show ends. So definitely be looking out for that. You can watch the archive anytime, which is just, it makes for a great night when you're just hanging out and you need something to do and you're online. Go to The Color of Jazz. Check out the archives with your favorite jazz artists, right? So you got to check that out. And of course, Sean's got you've got your fan page, correct?
I do. You can like me on Facebook. It's Sean O'Brien Smith. If you just look up Sean O'Brien Smith fan page, it will come up. And then one of my best things too is be sure and like my personal page on Facebook. That's where I'm finding myself really doing a lot of different tour posts from when we're on the road. Okay. It's all my news stuff. I'm usually always on there and trying to message and just keep fans up to date as much as I can through my personal page as well. So like me, I need friends. Be sure and add me.
Show the love, folks. Show him some love.
Absolutely.
Like the page. And then when you're done liking his page, you know the rule. Hop on over to the Color of Jazz page in Facebook and like that page as well. Show some love, folks. And then, of course, to follow Sean, you can follow him in Twitter as well. He is Fett. F-E-T-T.
Yes.
So
that's it.
We're going to put that in the chat. B-A-S-S-F-E-T-T. And folks, make sure for those of you who like to tweet like I do, check him out. And something that I just kind of put together today is on Pinterest. You can follow me, The Color of Jazz, on Pinterest. And you will see, all of the jazz artists that I have coming on the show and everything. So do that as well. All right. Let's get on the CD, and I want to play Sweet first. It's the first song,
nice.
But you know what? I love that.
Good. That one's actually made me some money. I like that one too.
Hey, y'all, support Sean. What's up? Yes. Set that up for us, Sean. Tell us about Sweet.
Sweet was actually, oddly enough, and I don't admit this often, the title actually came after watching Napoleon Dynamite.
So I love Napoleon Dynamite.
That one just absolutely shows that I'm a nerd at heart. But
Me too.
What was neat with Sweet was just being able to, bring in, that was one where I did a mix of, folks that people may know and some that they don't. It's kind of neat that you had Greg on earlier because the sax player on Sweet is Mitch Riley, who plays with the Tower Power rhythm section when they're actually local in California.
Nice.
And Mitch is awesome player. He lives in Nashville with me and plays for everybody, done tons of records. The drummer is a guy named Mel Watts that was with Garth Brooks for a long time, oddly enough. And then, the guitar player is a guy named Randy Nations that nobody knows, and it was another one of those things where it's like, I want to mix this whole thing in there. And then I'm trying to think who else was on there. Oh, Shannon Wickline. This guy is my secret weapon. Amazing piano and organ player, and he's actually the keyboard player for Charlie Daniels Band.
Oh,
And you talk about jazz chops that nobody even remotely knows. He can hang with most anybody, and he's on both of my records, and he's all over Sweet as well. So it's a really fun lineup, and we actually kicked the record off with Shannon doing his keyboard thing, which is kind of a neat moment because
yes.
nobody knows. We've got this nice little dreamy moment, and then we just, I come in doing my thing that I do. So
Right.
it's a lot of fun.
Yes, and that's the part that just hooked me because you're right. It does kind of start mellow, and then boom, you get in there and you are just kicking it, and, as well as the rest of the band members. So let's do this, folks. I think you guys are gonna love this, like I do. So check it out, and of course, while you're listening to it, get in the chat with Sean. I'm gonna head over to Facebook, let folks know Sean is in the house, and we are having fun, and we are enjoying Sweet. So enjoy. Sweet from Tapestry. Woo! Okay. That's what's up. And of course, Sean O'Brien Smith in the house, folks. And man, hot. Smoking, smoking, smoking. I really like that.
Oh, well,
Sweet.
thank you. Nice. I like that.
Yeah. I was just wondering if you have to pronounce it like sweet or is it just sweet? Which one?
Oh, it's funny. I've had I like your version. My favorite one I ever had was a friend of the family that's actually a big Christian entertainer does impersonations, and he called me and did the whole thing like he was Bill Clinton, and it cracked me up. It was awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, he's doing the sweet.
Sweet.
It was great. So
So there you have it, folks. So you got to run out and get sweet. You got to get it. And you got to say it like that. Okay?
absolutely
And again, of course, you're going to find sweet. I'm going to do that all night, right? You got to find
nice.
that on Tapestry. And here it is, folks. Got it. I got my copy. Get
Perfect.
yours. Get yours. Yes. Awesome CD. I like that it's edgy. There's some edgy tunes on there where you kind of get a little
Hmm.
bit of rock. You got your little rock jazz thing going on, your fusion. But I love that. I love how you have
I,
this whole CD mixed.
it really was got to be the whole part of it. What for me, it's like I love where contemporary jazz is at now, but I also truly love where it was in like the early jazz rock days. You look at I keep coming back to Herbie Hancock and stuff like that, and it was just like,
Fusion.
wait, I want to do that. Not necessarily crazy fusion weather report type stuff, but keep it strong songs, leave it accessible, but you can still put that thing in there that just makes it magic. And that's always been kind of my MO for, all my records.
Yes. Absolutely. For me, Sean, that's the beauty of jazz. I like that,
Absolutely.
the music goes all over the place. I love it when it goes edgy to mellow to sensual to,
Right.
it just, that's what I love about the whole jazz genre, and the
Yes.
artist that can just bring that because I like that I don't have to necessarily have words to just take me to all the different emotions and all the different levels. The music
Hmm.
speaks so highly for itself. So that's what I love about jazz, and that's what keeps me in this genre, um, just because the music is just so powerful. So
Absolutely. And the biggest compliments I ever get are always the ones that are around, the imagery of the song. If a fan or somebody comes up to me and goes, when I heard this, it took me back to wherever. That's always the coolest thing in the world to me because it's like,
absolutely,
I gave them, a free trip to something that they had experienced. And, that's part of my way of, giving the gift I was given and, passing it on.
that's right, absolutely. And you said it perfect, and that is so the way that I see it. It's just why I'm in such awe of jazz artists in particular is that they
Right.
do bring you to that spot where and then it's so timeless. The jazz is so timeless
Nice.
and you'd be like, oh my god, I remember back in the 80s when I heard
Right.
blah blah blah, you know
Right.
and that's the beauty of music.
What's
Yes.
funny, even, while we've been riding around on this tour with Joe and Steve, we got talking about that earlier, where it's like, all the records we loved in jazz that, inspired us from, 30s, 40s, 50s, all those songs, they're still timeless. We're still playing them on live dates and everything. I mean, it's just magic. And that's what's so neat about the genre is, once you share your music, it truly can just live on for generations.
Absolutely, absolutely, and it does. And so and very very grateful for getting to spend time with artists like you, and
Oh, thank you.
that I get to know. I get to meet you guys for the very first time, and then I, of course, when you come to a town near me, or I come to a town near you, however we make it work, and then it's even twice as nice to get to meet you in person. So
Absolutely.
this is just huge for me. But you know what? I got to give a huge shout out to Helmut Wolf in
Nice.
Australia. And Helmut, of course, is doing beautiful things with jazz artists. And in particular, he was on the show late last year with Brian O'Neill. And,
Nice.
we had him up early, of course, because he's in Australia. He's down under. But had a lot of fun with his music. And as you know, his music is very fusion oriented and very eclectic. And, of course,
Hmm.
Helmut doing some just some amazing things with artists. And as you said, you're working with him, and of course,
I have. It's been a really fun teaming up with Helmet. I'm actually, producing with him some, working on some other
nice.
projects. And we're even looking now at the possibility of trying to put together, a Wolf tour for
Ah,
overseas of some of the Wolf artists. So we're looking at the feasibility. We've got some venues on the hook. So hopefully we're just going to see what's going to happen with that and go. But yeah, Helmet's been awesome. It's been a great combination with hooking up with him. And, he's some of the reasons I'm in some of these countries, so I can't complain.
yay. Well, hats off to Helmet, and just phenomenal guy. So, yes, right on. Okay. I want to play a couple
Excellent.
more songs before we move on, because we got to get to the new CD, and I definitely want you to talk to us about the new CD as well. Um,
Absolutely.
but I want you to tell me about Vashon or Vashon.
Ooh, it's Vashon, actually.
Vashon. Thank you.
Oh, you picked a fun one. Vashon's actually one that's very, very close to me. I used to live out in Seattle for a long time. Matter of fact, I bought my first bass in a Seattle pawn shop when I was 12 years old,
Right on.
that my sister got for me. And the title Vashon comes from Vashon Island, which is it's right on Puget Sound. And what was so neat about that song is it literally just kind of wrote itself.
Hmm.
I got up early one morning, grabbed some coffee, walked down to just the side of the beach on the Sound, and the fog was basically covering the entire Sound at the time. And I'm walking up and down the beach, find a log, I'm sitting, and all of a sudden this tune, this theme just starts coming in my head. And I kept humming it, and it was like as the fog was starting to lift, there was Vashon
Mm.
Island, and the Olympic Mountains were behind it. You could see all the snow caps. You look over to the right, there's Mount Rainier. It was just one of these perfect awestruck moments. And the song kept coming back to me. Well, I immediately got my butt back in the car and got home and learned it before I forgot it, because I
Yes.
was just like, okay, what is this? And it's gotten to be one of my favorite songs we've ever done. And I'm stoked. We're actually this coming weekend we're going to be filming a live DVD out in Utah, and I'm excited to have that. We're going to be recording that one for the live DVD as well, because we don't do it live a ton. So it's going to be fun to be doing that one and have it end up on the DVD.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, let's enjoy this, folks, and check this out. Again, Sean, big shout out for your website.
Oh yeah, SeanO'BrienSmith.com. You can check everything out there and order the site, and then obviously friend me on Facebook. Like my page and follow me on Twitter. I need friends.
That's right, folks. We all need friends. We do, really. So, and folks, I'm going to put this in the chat, but for those who are just watching the archives, I want to make sure you have the correct spelling of his last name. Um, so it's Sean, Sean, O'Brien,
Hmm.
Obryan. Is there a hyphen in your website, or is it just Smith?
No, just Smith.
Okay. And then Smith, folks. So Sean O'Brien Smith.com. Okay. Make sure you go there. Make sure you visit him. Visit him in Facebook. We all love it. And I especially love it when you have been on the show, watching the show, and then you connect with the artist that I get to bring on. So please do that.
Absolutely.
It's just a beautiful thing to connect folks. So make sure you're doing that. In the meantime, let's check out Vashon. Vashon?
Vashon.
Say it again.
Vashon.
Vashon. You know, I always I like to create words. So Vashon, and yeah, I do a really good job of that. Here we go, folks. Enjoy this. Nice. I like that. I like the mellowness of that tune. Woo! Very
now
nice.
you're all laid back.
I know, right? Look. Oof. Yeah, let me bring it up. So you guys have Sean on the screen here. Let me bring up us back live because you can just see how mellow and relaxed we all are. And I'm like, oh, okay. So yeah, that's one
Nice.
of those songs you need to go. You need to grab a glass of wine if you drink wine, or if you drink, I should say. Grab something and just relax and just melt and fold into that song. I have to ask you, as I was listening to it, I'm like, how did you hum that? What were you humming? Tell us. No, hum it for us.
Oh, it was actually just the main harmonic line that I'm doing, the da 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 da. Of course, you can see why I don't sing.
Hmm.
But, and it was just that line just kept repeating. And, even producing the song, telling the story earlier, how the song came together,
Yes.
my whole thing got to be as a producer going, how do I try to recreate that moment? So one of the greatest things afterwards, once the song and the album released, my oldest sister Joy still lives out in Seattle, and she captains a boat that she takes people out on tours out on the Sound. And she said first thing they did was they took a bottle of wine, they went to Vashon Island, they dropped anchor, played Vashon with the island in the background, and it's like, oh, that's cool.
Yes, absolutely. And of course, we've got Leslie in the house saying it is good to know the story behind the great song, behind a great song. And absolutely. Now, Sean, did you know that Helmet is in the house?
Uh-oh, I'm in trouble.
Right? Helmet, how are
How did you
you?
wake him up?
You
What's
know
he
what?
doing up
I
this time?
I, I was just thinking, as we were talking about Helmet earlier today, I'm like, gosh, I wonder what time it is in Australia because I know you're whenever I have one of his folks on the show, and I've had a couple of folks. I've had three now because I've had Robin Doohy,
Nice.
you now, and oh my God, I'm just blanking on his name. Helmet, help me out. Who else was on the show? Oh, George. Of course, you. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
George A. Johnson Jr., right?
Yep.
George is on the show too. That's right. And of course, Helmet. So I've had three of his folks, including him, which makes four. And it's 12 o'clock there. 10 to 12. 10 to 12 in Australia. Of course, it is Monday. So how
True.
cool is that? You know what? I love it when folks from around the world join the show. Woo-hoo! That's what's up. So, Sean, your
Damn.
new CD that is dropping on Tuesday. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Yes, he does. Sean rocks. Tell us about this new CD that folks can get on Tuesday.
Well, the album's called Reflection, and this thing's been about 3.5 years in the making. Um, it's basically a bold move. I decided to take old gospel hymns and contemporary worship tunes and do them in my style, similar to like what I'd done on Tapestry. And it originally came about, it was going to be an EP. I'd actually already written what was to be my second album. And I started looking at song selection. I wanted to do about 4 or 5 song EP. Well, I couldn't standardize on just the 4 or 5 songs. And more of these tunes came together, and I'm like, this is very apparently what needs to be the next record. And the more we got into it, the more fun it got to be. We really kept that old vibe going back to like the old Stax records that inspired me to play in the first place. We tried to bring that spirit in. And similar to Tapestry, I have a mix of like unknowns with knowns as far as the musicians. I didn't do near as many. There's actually 32 musicians on Tapestry.
Wow.
But what got to be so fun with this particular album is the artists that wanted to be a part of it. One of the first people we got to commit to the record was Gerald Albright.
Wow.
And, it was so neat getting, talking to Gerald about, what the record was. He's got a strong faith base, so he immediately is like, oh yeah, I want to do this record. And then, Gerald being Gerald, he just got on the record and killed it. He's on one of the two originals. And then, they just followed suit from there. The first single that's actually at radio right now has Chuck Loeb on guitar. And then the piano player on that one is Jeff Franzel, who used to be with Sinatra and Les Brown back in the day. And then, a couple of real fun surprises on there is I got Randy Brecker on the album.
Wow.
And, it was neat when we sent Randy the tracks because he tracked in his studio in New York. And it's a very non-Brecker track. But I thought he would kill it. And he ended up calling me going, dude, I had so much fun with this because I could just be soulful and just wail. And, it's this wonderful moment on the record. And then the clincher is actually the title track for me. One of my dearest friends in the world is Malcolm Jamal Warner.
Okay.
And Malcolm is a wonderful bass player in his own right. We met actually at a bass convention in L.A., 5-6 years ago. And the more we got to know each other, the more we realized, we were instant blood brothers. My friends say I'm the white cockroach, which I find quite funny for a Cosby reference. But Malcolm is amazing at spoken word.
Oh, yes,
and
he is. Absolutely.
We got chatting about stuff, and it's like, dude, let's do just me on bass and you doing spoken word. And that's what we did. And it was neat. The closer we got to releasing the album, he was reluctant because he was afraid he was making, the actual poem that he's speaking too personal and about his own life. And then, we started comparing our two backgrounds and we realized we walked the same walk more than we thought we did.
Wow.
And it was like, dude, this is perfect. And it's a great way to finish the record. So we close the album and the title track is just me and Malcolm. And it's like this amazingly deep moment that it'll definitely catch the listeners off guard because I haven't met anyone yet that hasn't listened to that last track and just sat there for a minute and they just go, wow. And then they immediately hit rewind and do it again.
Can we play that?
Sure.
I mean, I know it's a new CD and all like that, and I don't know if you've got restrictions on what you can play, but sorry about that, folks. Definitely want to play Reflections, if that's all right with you.
That'd be totally fine.
Okay. So let me cue that up. And, folks, let's hear it. Let's hear the title track, and let's do this. So let's see. I can get that going here. Oh, here it comes. It's I have 3 laptops and on one of the laptops it's my slower one, so we have to encourage it to come up and do things. So work with me, folks.
This is my ode to the flowing universal, a reflection of the universe flowing. This is my ode to the all-knowing. I'm chronically addicted and sonically afflicted with piercing shouts of Holy Ghost bouts and organized methods on how to drum the demon out. Yet I seem it out each and every day, clutching crosses, onks, and Bibles, just trying to find their way, all the while knowing the soul is liable to voice what it has to say, whether the clergy agrees or not. So I flee a lot, spinning circles through society in packs of 3, looking for me a lot. Best believe I see a lot, and it inspires me to want to be a lot. So the devil lets me know he desires me a lot. And in the corner he waits, watching me contemplate my faith. It's not that I don't believe, I just don't know which creed to heed. So insecurities breed, but good deeds bleed impurities from my heart before they start to clot. I heave a lot, wheeze a lot, cough, sneeze rapidly, breathe a lot. Through life I've breezed a lot, tried to achieve a lot. Trials and tribulations have made me not want to need a lot except for the strength not to seem weak, and the power to love unconditionally without being seen as meek, and the ability to walk the talk I speak. And each time I fail and get knocked back down, I pray for the fortitude to come back around, but sometimes I can't. I huff, continue to puff, cry, sigh, pant, knowing that with each inhalation I'm taking a chance as I slow dance with my mortality, playing hide and seek with my reality, denying my commonality with other addicts and thieves who've also lost their beliefs. I wallow in this tide of grief, swallow my pride as I release these grandiose images of perfection I can't seem to reach. And just then my reflection begins to teach as it starts to unleash the true image of me, my true divinity that I allowed fear to compromise and hold hostage like a slick thief through the thick night. So now I know I must let go and trust my soul to guide me out of this darkness where fear hides behind addiction, mischievously placing restrictions on my spiritual ascent, maliciously blocking my spiritual intent to represent the experience of God consciousness at its highest. Simply put, to be the absolute best that I can be is the highest form of glory and thanks that I can give for this present called life. And if I can truly live the way we were meant to, I would proudly embody the type of self-love that would turn my fears into obstacles simply needing to be overcome. And I'd never have to run from addiction again. And if I can truly live life the way we were meant to, I would proudly embody the type of self-love that would turn all of my fears into obstacles that simply need to be overcome. And I'd never have to run behind an addiction again. But that kind of self-love only starts with spending time with my reflection.
Ooh,
Cool, cool stuff, huh?
yeah. I gotta let this song. I have to let it go into this song. Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah. You know what? I am just so speechless, and
It
I
seems to
just.
be everybody's response. It was funny even trying to edit it when I first got, all of Malcolm's tracks done. I did the same thing. I finally listened to the final mix and I'm like, holy cow, this is just a really, really special moment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And just wow. That was speechless. I mean,
Well, good. I feel good if you can't.
yes, I want to say it's beyond words, and it was so moving, and you could hear the angst in there,
Yeah.
but his his spirituality and everything just coming together as he just lit that on
hmm
fire, and you can tell he's walked through some things, right? And
Well, that was so neat because I mean, it really a lot of it got to be both of our testimonies
yes,
and in the whole track, and it was a big moment for both of us, 'cause to really when we really got the song done because it was like, okay, this is cool, and it's parts of him and parts of me that people haven't seen before, and hopefully we'll see it again in different styles. But it's like it was just something we felt we wanted to do, and it was very obvious that that was the title track of the record.
yes, and just very very blown away by that, and I'm just like, oh my god, very powerful, and of course Leslie, out on the East Coast, aka the Soup Lady, is saying, new fan here. So,
Nice.
new
I
fan,
love new
right
fans.
on. Love that.
Keep them coming.
Keep them coming. And of course, you know what? Got another bass player in the house. Got Eric Troy in the house, and Eric has been on the show a couple times as well. What's up,
Oh,
Eric?
cool.
How are you? Eric is saying hi to everybody, and folks, give me some feedback because you know my words are just like so. If you have some words for Sean on reflections, please let him know. Talk to us in the chat. Oh my gosh, you know how you stunning. Thank you. Thanks, Helmet. Honey, now I'm mixing words. Helmet is saying that is absolutely stunning, and yes, Helmet is saying incredible. Who else? Come on, somebody else, hook me up. Wonderful. Okay, Leslie, I know you got some words, girl, but yes.
I'm taking all of it. I love it. And I have to apologize. My chat is wacky because I'm multitasking on my phone and everything. So I do like the fact that you're relaying this.
Yes, no worries, no worries. We roll. This is how we roll on the Color Jazz. We make it work, and yes, that was just absolutely amazing. And
Well,
folks,
thank you.
here's how you get this on Tuesday, okay? And it's dropping on Tuesday. Reflections is dropping on Tuesday. How cool is that? I am so honored. I'm so honored, Sean. Real.
Oh, well,
Thanks,
thank
Leslie.
you.
It's real.
That
And
absolutely means a lot to me.
I am very honored that you allowed me um, to play your very new CD. Of course, it drops officially on Tuesday. So I'm very, very honored and privileged and now I'm just like beyond words here because the
Well, and
music
what's
is
neat is that's the
powerful.
first time anybody's actually heard the title cut.
I know. How cool
So
is that?
that's awesome.
That is awesome. And again, so I'm very honored and thank you and grateful
Oh,
that you
absolutely my
allowed
pleasure.
me, the color of jazz, to play Reflections. And can you like just pass on some words to us or to Malcolm from us how much we absolutely love that
Oh,
spoken
I'll
word
absolutely do it.
piece that he did, and we are very grateful that he allowed you, to put that on your CD, and both of y'all came together for that. You on the bass, hooking it up,
Absolutely.
and absolutely, Leslie, this is real, and that raw emotion. So love that. Woo! Okay, I know, right?
I
I know.
love it.
So, Sean, I'm trying to,
Yes.
get back here and come back. I'm trying to come back down, but what's another song? Because tell me, what's another song from your new CD, folks? The CD is new. What's another song that I can play from your new
Actually,
CD?
best thing would be we need to do the radio single.
Okay.
Which would be it's actually my version of "Blessed Be Your Name."
Okay.
And it got to be fun because I was actually playing this song, in churches when I wasn't on the road here in Nashville, and that's one of the tunes that was the first one on the record where I'm like, I really need to recut this, and I was lucky enough to play with Rebecca St. James years ago that actually made it a hit. And so it was neat to take it and just kind of make it my own. And then, the best part of the musicians on this track for sure. I've got my regular sax player that's been with me for 30 years, a guy named Tommy Ogle, that everybody should know. He's absolutely amazing. And then Jeff Renzel that I mentioned earlier that used to play with Sinatra. And then, of course, the great Chuck Loeb on guitar, tearing it up.
Yes, yes, yes. Let's do it, folks. Let's do this. Blessed be his name. And we're going to play that. This is your chance to get into the chat with Sean. And lots of stuff going on there. Get in the chat, folks. I'm going to cue this up. And we are going to play that. And blessed be your name. Excuse me. Blessed be your name. Not my name, not his name, but your name. I know. But you know what, folks?
Definitely not mine.
Not mine either. This is the color of jazz, folks. This is how we roll. We have lots of fun here. It's unscripted. So there. Enjoy this. Blessed be your name. Get in the chat, folks. Okay. All right, folks. Blessed be your name. And awesome track. And of course, from the Reflections CD. And I just went on to Facebook and I was posting his song. And yes, applause, applause, applause.
Good.
Woohoo! So, yeah, I was just in Facebook posting. So, and I'm just, of course, put your website. Sean, is it okay for folks to get on your website?
Absolutely.
I'm one of those folks where I'd much rather see everyone get the CD, get your music from you. I'm not trying to cut anybody out at iTunes or Amazon or any of those places. I'm just saying it's best to get the CD from you. That's just me. But wherever you can get it from, please get it, as long as you are getting it from a reputable site and you are getting it legally, folks.
Amen.
Legally. And get the CD. Of course, the CD is called Reflections. It's brand spanking new. Drops on Tuesday. But if you go to Sean's website, go there and make friends with him on Facebook, and make sure you get the CD from him. I'm just saying. And of course, when he comes to a town near you, make sure you are checking him out. He is funky on the bass. He was born to play, folks, okay? Literally. Yeah, I think Leslie said it best. He was born to play. He's here.
I'll take it.
He's been thumping since conception, and so you gotta get the
Love it.
CD. Great things, he's been playing for a very long time, So the music has probably just is a natural. You're a natural. I mean, what can we say?
Oh, thank you,
You're
dear.
born to play. So, a couple things before we sign off. Eric Troy in the house saying, "Hey, Sean," and of course, it's good to see you're safe from all those fires. He's talking to me. Yes, Eric, thank you. I am very safe, and Colorado Springs is on the road to recovery from all the wildfires. So thank you, thank you. Thanks everyone for
Beautiful.
keeping me in your thoughts and prayers. We appreciate that. And of course, sending lots of love to Colorado and very appreciative of that. But folks, just wrapping it up with Sean O'Brien Smith. Make sure that you hang out with him in Twitter and Facebook, on his website. All roads lead to Sean, and I'm hoping one of those roads actually takes you to one of his live events. So
Absolutely.
Make sure.
And be sure and check the site on that too, because we are adding dates
Right
constantly.
So as you said, keep checking on his website. But Sean is going to be updating his Facebook pages as well, and I will be. Guess what, guys? I'm new on Pinterest. I'm very, very excited about that. Leslie, was one of the folks who's like, you got to get on Pinterest. So I'm there. And I will be posting about the artist touring as well. So you'll have to follow me
Awesome.
or whatever you guys do in Pinterest, pin and follow and look and see, whatever the term is for Pinterest. You'll have to like or pin or whatever. Do that for The Color of Jazz. All one word. I think. Leslie, is it one word? Anyhow, it's go to The Color of Jazz in Pinterest. I will be having Sean's schedule up, his tour schedule up there as well. So I'm trying to support the artist the best way I know how, and that is through
Wonderful.
social media. Love that. So everyone, make sure you follow The Color of Jazz so that you can be kept abreast of everything, all of the artists that are coming on the show. Next week, I've got Jeff Lorber in the house, okay? So Jeff is going to be in the house, followed by Dan Siegel. So got
Nice.
some folks coming on in the next couple of weeks. You'll want to stay tuned here and hang out. And by the way, I would love for you guys to go to Sean's Facebook page. And I would love for you guys to stop by and let him know that you were in the chat or that you were watching the show live with him on it. Give him some feedback, We love
Please.
it when you guys say, hey, I was just checking you out. I was listening to you on your interview, whatever. Please do that. And that's great feedback for him and as well as me on The Color of Jazz. So please do that. Sean, parting
Ma'am.
words for us.
Oh, wow. Mainly just thanks. And I'm glad that, everybody seems to be so excited about the new album. It's with this album being something so deep for me, it's neat to be able to share it. And, like we were saying before, I hope this lives on, not necessarily just, as me as an artist, but, I hope people just really get a chance to, enjoy all the music we can do because, that's the big joy for me. It's just being able to give it and let people, take this in their own lives and do with it as they see.
Right on. That's what music does, folks. It allows you to take it and do what you will with it. And, of course, we're hoping that you will let your closest 100 friends know about Sean and the music and The Color of Jazz. Please do that as well. Leslie is saying, woohoo, great show. Can't wait to hear more of your music, Sean.
Wonderful.
So, yes. And anytime we can turn some new fans your way, I'm happy to do that. And again, folks, please like
do.
The Color of Jazz page. Show The Color of Jazz some love and like the page. Do that as well. And just want to say, Sean, you know what? Huge honor for me to have you on the show. And
Oh, well, thank you so much. It was an absolute joy, and I'd love to come back anytime you need.
Hey, you are absolutely welcome to come back anytime, and just so you know, you never have to wait to put out a new CD. And I tell that to all the artists. You ain't got to wait till you put something new
Wonderful.
out. You can come on the show. Just hit me up in Facebook or, my email, whatever. You know how to get in touch with me. So just hit me up and
Absolutely.
say, hey, it's time. And I'll be like, you're right. It's time. Let's do this. So, all right, everyone. Sean and I are going to say goodnight. He's on the East Coast and he wants to go to bed, no doubt. And
A
again,
long day
Sean,
of driving.
thank you. That's right. And he's still out touring. You're gonna hit home next week? You'll be heading home
I get home tomorrow,
tomorrow.
and then we immediately fly out to Utah to start recording the live DVD. We're doing a show. If we've got anybody listening out in Utah, we're going to be filming in Snow Basin this coming weekend on Saturday at an event called Jazz in July. So I would love to see if anybody's there to make sure that they come out and see us.
Hey, that would be awesome. Okay, folks. Y'all folks in Utah, Jazz in July this weekend. Get out there and support Sean as he puts together this new DVD. And is it recorded live, Sean?
Yeah, it's going to be live. It's Jeff Renzel from Sinatra's band, and then two of my regular guys. So the band's ridiculous, and we're going to have a great time.
Right on. Right on. So make sure you guys, if you're in Utah or your friends are in Utah, you let them know about Jazz in July and tell them to connect with Sean. Get out there, be part of the audience, hoop and holler for us on The Color of Jazz, and show some love. All right, everyone. I'm going to say goodnight. And, of course, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thanks to everyone for hanging out with The Color of Jazz. Sean, huge pleasure. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, did you just call me ma'am?
I did. It's habit. I'm a Southern guy.
Yes, you are. Okay.
I try to have manners when I can.
And on that note, folks, we're out. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you.